And welcome to the second episode of A Life in the Year of Potato Grower, or a year in the life of a potato grower, I should say. So, thanks to everyone who watched the first episode. I wasn't too sure how sort of popular or unpopular it was going to be, but I thought I would bring you in again today, and this is the second part of our preparation into growing potatoes, and this is where we mulch, and we mentioned it in the first episode with the two combines that were in the field. You'll remember, as I say, from the first episode, and I said that the next preparation would be for us to mulch the ground and try and return a little bit of the organic matter back into the soil. And then once we've completed this, the next job that we have then is to subsoil the ground. Once we've subsoiled the ground, and with the subsoiler we will add a layer of fertilization to the ground as well. So that will be the first sort of part of fertilization for the ground for the potatoes. And what we will do then is then leave the ground for probably anywhere up to about 4 to 6 weeks, and then we'll be in with the plough. We will plough it over so that it's ploughed over winter. That way we allow the frost to get into the if hopefully there will be some sharp frosts and a fairly harshish winter, with lots of sharp frosts, and that will kill quite a lot of the bugs within the ground that obviously we would be looking to kill off with the frosts and the weather. And sorry, I'm stumbling over my words and pausing because I'm in one of our new crawlers for this year. So this year we've spent quite a lot of money on replacing a lot of the Challengers that we had. So we had quite a lot of 765Es. We had, I think, 3 of them, and then we had an 875E Challenger as well. And this year, not only did we heavily invest in 2 new combines, but we've also heavily invested in 4 new vent crawlers, to which we genuinely hope are going to improve the output that we've got on the older Challengers that we had. But not only that as well, they are, from our sort of demonstration tests that we had them on, they're a lot more fuel efficient as well, and can do the same job at lower engine revs, which is very important when you're trying to save fuel. I'm guessing the new Challengers that are very, very similar to this, do the same things, but we just fancied that, because we run vent tractors, that we would quite like to run the vent crawlers as well alongside of the tractors, even though the wheel tractors don't really get onto the land to do any cultivation. It was still nice, uniform, if you like, to run the crawlers that were the same, as the vent tractor. So, as you can see from the video, from not only inside the cab, but also as well behind the cab. This is taken by Kay, who you saw driving the combine last time. She's got the drone, and that's following us from behind. You can see from this camera shot at the moment that we've got the 12.2 meter Horsch stubble mulcher, and basically what that's doing is obviously it's chopping down the stubble and then laying it onto the ground, and then we've got the ring press on the back, and that pushes what we chop down a bit further into the ground and make sure that there's good contact, so that when that stubble does eventually rot and then die off into the soil, that's where the replacement of the organic matter into the ground will happen. So very important machine, very important that you get it right. The horse that you can see at this moment in time, that's also new for this year. That's an ex-demonstrator. We had that on demonstration last year, and we decided to go ahead and purchase the one that we had on demonstration, mainly because, as I say, it's wider than the 8-meter horse one that we had. But not only that as well, we do believe that this sort of newer model does do a better finish overall, and there's a lot less soil disturbance, because the one thing we're not really looking to do at this point is disturb the soil. So all we want to do basically is just cut the stubble off and then get a good stubble to ground contact, much the same as when you're drilling, when you're rolling. The reason you roll is you want good seed to ground contact, so that the two, if you like, can marry together and produce the the offspring that you're looking for, which is the crop. That's no different when while we're using the stubble cultivator. So as I say, we do this ahead of the subsoiler in all of our potato fields. I mean, for the purpose of this series, we're just going to concentrate on this field. You can see from the drone behind us that the combines are on a bit of grass the other side of this field. So we've had some rain over the last sort of 6 or 7 hours. Not a huge amount. We're hoping it's not going to sort of stop combining for a huge amount of time, but the combines for now are sitting still. But the lads are off doing other cultivations, so a lot of our onion land is now sort of pretty much cleared. So we've got the cultivations going on there, and the another couple of lads are blowing out and servicing the combine, making sure that that's ready to go, because we're just about ready now to start our wheat. We've probably got about another day, sort of day and a half, but a day hopefully of oilseed rape harvest, and then we will be into so they'll divide up. One will go into the winter barley and the other one will go into the winter wheat, so that we're getting both crops in at the same time, whereas before we've just relied on one combine and it would have to go through obviously each individual crop. So we've run the two combines together in all of our rape fields, and as you can see, I'm missing some there. It's not overly sort of imperative that I get every single bit, but I don't really want to be missing if I can help it, mainly because I'll get ribbed by the lads who still very much doubt the boss's tractor driving capabilities. So yeah, that's what we will do, and what we'll concentrate on in this particular episode. We'll get this done, and then we will also get the subsoil in, at least started in this episode, so we can sort of take you around that and take you around the machine. That's on one of our bigger vent challenges that we've got. So we've got a couple of 1167 vent crawlers. I keep calling them challengers. They are very similar to challengers, but they are vents in their own right, so we will refer to them, if I can, as vents. But yeah, so far so good with these new crawlers. We've had them on the farm now probably about 3 months, and as I say, they've been doing sort of veg cultivation, so a lot of our sort of cabbage land and broccoli and cauliflowers and stuff like that. They've been ploughing and then replanting, so we double crop our cauliflower, and that's what these tractors have been sort of doing. And as I say, at the moment we're very happy. I feel like we've made a good choice, and I'm looking forward to using these. So The plan with our tractors is that we will run them for 10 years, and the idea is that we will hopefully get in and around 10,000 hours on them. So we look to do about 1,000 hours a year with the crawlers, whether that's on our farm, on our land, whether that's contracting, you know, or sort of other work that we can get for them as well. The one thing with these, certainly with these new vent, crawlers, they're very expensive, and if they're very expensive, they need to be paying their way, and they need to be being used. There's no good spending, sort of in excess of sort of £400,000 on a tractor that's going to mainly sit in the shed. That's no good to me at all. So yeah, we sort of offer them out, and we go out and do sort of autumn cultivations for farms. We do autumn drilling. Obviously, they can do planting. We don't have any on 3-meter road tracks. That's quite popular in sort of America and Australia and places like that. Ours are on the standard 30-inch tracks, just standard 30-inch tracks, and that helps with compaction and helps with leaving or not leaving big footprints across the field. So most of our machinery you will see will be in and around the 12-meter mark. It's again, that's important to us with our CTF. So we run on 36-meter tram lines, so we need the machinery to be 12 meters, because then if everything runs at 12 meters, the combine header widths are 12 meters. So everything will run always in the same wheelings, and that will then leave us with obviously sections of the field that have not been run on at all. But the idea is that in between the tram lines, when the subsoiler goes in, that's obviously lifting the wheelings as we're travelling over the ground, and then the drill will go in, which is also 12 meters, and so on a 36-meter width tram line, obviously 3 breeds, across the field, and then a tram line, and then 2 breeds, and then a tram line again on the third width. So that's the way we do it. It works very well for us, and we as I say, it works for us and we like it. So that's the reason why we do it the way that we do it. We have got another one of these, and normally again these two would run in tandem with each other. We would be able to cover the ground a lot quicker. As I said in the last episode, I think it was I think I mentioned it if I didn't, but we run about 12,500 acres here roughly, and as I say, we need to get the cultivations done very quickly. So our aim is always to have the rapeseed drilled by August the 5th, and to have all of the winter crops, i.e. winter barley, winter oats and winter wheat, all drilled and done, rolled and pre-emerged by the 5th of October. It's a big ask, and it's usually it's achievable. Last year was a little bit different with it being so wet, although with it coming so wet, we were in a lot better position than a lot of other farms, because we set such tight deadlines to get everything done. We had got well over half of our winter cropping in the ground, and then it became very wet, and it was just a case of nurturing the crop through the wet time. And as I say, once we'd got the crop through that, got the crop then through sort of a wet spring, where a lot of our spring crops again went in sort of quite late because it was so wet. They yielded not as good as before, but they weren't a disaster, so that they were well worth doing. They still turned a profit on everything that we'd sort of put into the crop and into the land for the spring cropping. It looks as if it's going to return us a profit. If the markets crash, then scrap what I just said. But as the market stands at the moment, we're in line to make a profit on everything that we've grown so far this year, or this season. So as a farmer, I can't ask for more than that. The profits are not as big as what they have been in the past, but a profit is still better than a loss. Even if it ends up being £100 a hectare profit, or whatever, that's better than as I say, a loss or none at all. So we mustn't grumble. But yeah, so we get this land or this field done. The other challenger and the other vent, I should say, and the other horse mulcher is out in our other rape fields and doing the same job, because about 80% of all of the rape cropping that we had this year is coming potatoes. The rest of it is going into what was winter barley. So, and we haven't quite got that, as I say, harvested yet. But all the rape land that's coming potatoes, is harvested, and so therefore, we're now getting that land prepared. And as I say, we will see the subsoiler in this field. I'm not showing the other fields just because I want to concentrate sort of more on one field. That way it's easier for you to keep track of what we're doing in any particular field. So if it's just all in this one field, you can, and what we do in this field, we will do across the farm on all of the potato land that we're obviously going to grow. I'm not going to show this year's potato harvest. We're due to start in 2 weeks. With the first lot of potatoes have been sprayed off. We're just waiting now for the. They usually say between 10 and 14 days. So we usually, at the earliest, will go on the 14th day, but we like to then sort of go about 21, just to make absolutely sure that there is no residue left in the crop. So we'll spray with an aim of 21 days, but a minimum of 14, because that's what Bayer and any other companies sprays that we use on our potatoes recommend. So they say 10 to 14, so we say 14 is the earliest we go. We aim for 21 days, as I say, just to make sure that any residue that's that was on the crop or is on the crop has a chance to be sort of gone. And when we come to harvest it, we are we're basically not harvesting chemicals, we're harvesting potatoes that I feed to my children, you feed to your children. So we want the crop to be good, we want the crop to be right, and we want the crop to be safe. And that's very important to ourselves on this farm. That we do want that reassurance that the crop is as I always sort of say, fit for my children to eat. Because if I wouldn't feed it to my children, I certainly wouldn't sell it to you to feed to your children. And that's why we're very strict on the farm, that we are at least the minimum of 14, and then an aim for 21. And some years, whether you get a bit of rain, whether this or that happens, it can be 28 days, which is even better. The crop isn't going to suddenly spring back to life again. So we know that with the 21-day period or 28-day period, we're fine. The crop isn't going to suddenly, as I say, spring back to life, and we have to do it all again. So once we've sprayed it, we've given ourselves the required time for everything to be okay. But yeah, it's another nice day. As I say, we had a bit of rain, so sort of late-ish last night into the early hours, and then we've had a tiny bit more this morning for about half an hour or so, but it's now breaking out into a lovely day again. The forecast is set fair, so the bit of rain that we had was forecast. Hence the reason why we were so keen to get on with the oilseed rate, to make sure that we were well in front of the rain that came, and it did come. And we are now, as I say, we're just getting things prepared this morning, and we'll hopefully be combining later on this afternoon. The temperature is getting warm again, with it being only sort of, well, it's about late July now. The days heat up very, very quickly. Today talks of a high eventually of 26. Tomorrow is 28. And then by the time we get to the weekend, we're going to be in the 30s. And that's expected to last for a week to 12 days. So yeah, it's looking good. And as I say, with 2 big Lexians now on the case, and the big vent on the grain chaser, we're set to be able to crack on really, really quickly. So August bank holiday is the aim for the harvest to be finished. We will then give the lads 2 days off, so whether that, over that weekend or whatever, or if we finish on the Thursday before the August bank holiday, so they'll have the Thursday, Friday, Saturday and the Sunday and the Monday off. I'll come back to work on the Tuesday. We'll start cultivations. By the time the 18th to the 20th of September comes, we expect to be all primary and secondary cultivations to be completed, and then we will be into the drilling, and once we're into the drilling, we have a 12-meter coombe drill that is Cavervland drill, that drill is capable of planting very high acreage per day. So we would look for 100 to 120 acres a day, but sometimes we can do more. Yes, sometimes obviously we can do less, but that's our aim. And we do have the backup of 2 further drills if we start to either get behind or the weather starts to look a little bit inclement. We can pull out the other drills, and we can get on just as quickly. So that's really good. So what will happen is we'll get this mulched as we finish now. We've finished mulching this ground now. We will then get it subsoiled. It will be left, and then what we will do is we will then behind that drill into the field a cover crop, which I think, again, I said in the last episode, is mainly buckwheat. I'll talk about that more in the episode when we come to drill it and why we use buckwheat specifically. And then once it's been drilled, we will obviously let that grow. That will then grow over winter and be in the field over winter, and then usually around February, March time, sort of mid-February into early March, we'll be ploughing the land, and then once it's ploughed, it will then get left for probably sort of 2 to 3 weeks, and then we will be in with the planters then, and planting season will begin in earnest. And it's a mammoth task trying to get everything done, because not only we're planting, but we're also drilling our spring crops, and as well as our spring veg and stuff like that. So it's a very, very busy time of the year for the farm, when we come into the spring period. But so that's the mulching all done. So I'll park the Challenger up there, and we'll go and get into the other one. We'll have a little look around it, and which you've seen really, because it's the other one to no, it isn't. That's the wrong one. Sorry. It's over here. That was the one that the subsoiler was brought on. There's the combines. I'm not very impressed that they both left their lids open with the rain, so that's probably going to need looking at. But yeah, this is the planting situation. So 1167 vents on a Bednar cultivator, so Bednar subsoiler. So you have your tines there for the cultivator. For the subsoiler, I keep calling it a cultivator. So you have the tines there for the subsoiler, and then we have a packing bar at the back, which is bladed, and that's to chop up any sort of large clumps that the subsoiler brings up. As you can see, we've got wings on our subsoiler legs, and they are tungsten tipped on the shin of the so the tip of the leg that goes into the ground, and then the shin near the top of the leg is also tungsten as well. And that basically, it's a very expensive metal, but it does save on a lot of wear. So it does mean that we can usually get, if it's not a harsh summer where the ground is baked absolutely solid, if there's a mixture of sort of nice dry land and then sort of a bit of moisture put onto the ground, they will last us a season. And then we have, as I say, these two sort of what we call spike rollers on the back. They break up any sort of big clods that they might bring up or bring out. And then we have the double D rings on the back that just firm it and level it off. So the front tank here, so we put fertilizer in there. It comes out of the tube, it goes into the fan then blows it up through into the subsoiler, and then you can see that on the subsoiler at the back, if I can just find some way, there we go. So just here is the coulters, and so the pipes lead into these coulters, and then as the leg is going through the ground, the coulter sits just below the surface and then drops the fertilizer granules down between the leg and into the rows, and then behind it the row gets closed up and then it gets firmed down, and that then holds the fertilizer roughly where we would like to think that the root of the potato is going to eventually end up. That's our aim, and once we've got it down there, we're off to a good start, and then we'll put the cover crop in. It would have been nice. I mean, we've kind of sort of spoken to Bednar about having the ability to cover crop as well with this setup, with a seed drill on the end, on the back here, somewhere mounted on, obviously, and then we were able to put not only the fertilizer in but also the cover crop as well. But Bednar don't seem too keen on that prospect, and we've spoken with Horsch, and they're sort of kind of looking at a few alternatives that we might be able to have. But what we'll do is I'll end the little video here. We'll get the subsoiler in the field, we'll get it going up and down, and then I'll come back in and I'll show you it working. We don't need to follow this over the ground for the whole field as we did with the mulcher. This is sort of fairly self-explanatory. Most people have seen a subsoiler and it at work, but as you can see, that's the sort of finish it leaves. We'll just get out and have a little look, and then, as I say, what I'll do is I'll get across, or I might get one of the lads to come and do it for me, or Kay even. But that's the finish that we leave. So we have subsoiler legs at the front with the pipes on, and then the same at the rear, but they're slightly shallower. They go in between, and then this firms it off behind and leaves a nice finish. And as I say, that finish, then you can see the channels where the legs have run, and then where the DD rings have gone over the back, over the behind, and leveled it off, which is the finish that we're looking for. And then, as I say, we'll leave it then a couple of weeks, and then we'll be in with the seed drill, and then we will drill our cover crop with that. So yeah, as I say, we'll get the crawler ahead, and then I'll come back. See you in a bit. Right, so we're out here in the field now with the vent crawler 1167, and as you can see, it's got the Bedner subsoiler on and the packing discs at the back, or the packing roller at the back. So we'll just have a quick look at the job that it's doing. So as you can see, it's leaving the eventual seed bed that we're sort of trying to create two seed beds in essence. So we need a seed bed for the cover crop to go into, and then we need a seed bed again, obviously, for when we come to plant the potatoes. But as I say, that's laying fertilizer, so that's the fertilizer going down, so we're roughly about 14 inches or so into the ground, and as you can see, there's not very much clod in here, nor is there sort of any trash or anything left over. So that's why we like the Bedner. It does a very good job ahead of the potato. So we tend to use this. I mean, we'll use it on all land if the conditions are favourable, but sometimes it's either too hard or it then becomes too wet, and if it becomes too wet, there's sort of, in a way, not much point in subsoiling, because so basically what's happened is that the ground has got saturated. This is certainly true for clay land, and then it just clumps together. So then you try and subsoil, and what happens is you pull up loads of big clumps. It doesn't bust the pan at all. It merely sort of kind of pushes it out, and then it folds instantly back in. You need it to be you don't want it to be rock hard, but you need it to be hard enough so that when you push it apart, it will actually stay apart. It will, it won't fold back in on itself. If it folds back in on itself, the water channels that you're hoping to create to get to your field drains, they're just not there. As I say, normally, we would mold drain these fields as well, but we mold drain this field. We mold drain this block of fields because there's a big block of fields in here. So you've got this field here, you've got two over in that direction, and then you've got a big one out there, and then the rest of the fields out there that you can see, and then there's a couple beyond those trees that you can just see the tops to over there. So Kay's driving the crawler today and doing a fantastic job. So it's very much a family run concern and farm, and she's come into the family, and was from day one expressed a real keen desire to roll her sleeves up and get on the tractors and get her hands dirty and get involved, and we're delighted that she has. And as I say, we have a brother that works for us as well, her younger brother, so that's also good for him, and good for us as well, because it's an extra pair of hands, so it's always handy. But yeah, so we'll have a quick look as the crawler comes by. So this crawler at the moment is running at about 65 litres of diesel an hour, which is pretty good. We're more than happy with that. The machine is set up quite nicely. You can see the spike roller, as we call it, and it just sort of firms down and breaks up any big clods or any sort of big lumps that the subsoil is bringing up. And then we've got the packer rings behind, and we have some weights on each end just to keep that to the ground, so that it does do a really nice even job, which is very important. At the front here we do have a set of cutting discs, and those cutting discs are what are creating the channel those cutting discs are what's flicking the trash into the machine as you're coming down, and then, as I say, the subsoiler legs, tungsten tip, tungsten shins, to try and give us a good wear life on them, and they go down about we're aiming for 14 inches into the soil, which we appear to be achieving. A really nice quick forward speed, which enables us as well to make sure that we don't bring too much up. So the machine is sort of kind of going through the ground, it's busting it open, but before any sort of clods can come up, the machine has already gone over. The spike roller's gone over and broken any that have got free, and then the DD rings on the back of that are then just firming it down and sort of almost rolling it back flat. And as I say, that's exactly the job that we're looking for. The work that we do now is hopefully going to pay us down the line. All what we're doing now, some people would look at it as a risk that we're spending a lot of money on a field that doesn't currently have a crop in, or that the crop could essentially fail. That's true for every crop in every field and on every farm. So you can look at it two ways. Do you not spend no money and you get what you can out of it, and you kind of settle for that? Or do you spend the money? We're digging at the moment. We're creating drainage channels, which is going to help the water get away. I mean, this is fairly good land anyway. This isn't really clay land at all. This is sort of quite silty. This soil here, so it's probably not quite as essential in this field, but I just feel that if you don't prepare, then you can prepare to fail. It's a no-brainer for me. You need to get the field right. You need to look after the field. The field is the biggest asset that I have in terms of producing the crops and stuff that obviously make the farm money. So I need to get it right. And as I say, with good drainage, the cover crop will go in. That will be buckwheat, or it'll be a high concentrated mix of buckwheat. There will be other stuff in there as well. So there'll be all seed radish and I can't remember the mix off the top of my head, but once we get their drilling, so the next episode, what I'll do is, or the next short video that I do, I know this one's gone on a little bit longer, but I wanted to talk today about mulching, about the benefits of mulching. I also wanted to show you that machine working, and why we use the machine, why we're laying the fertilizer. So the fertilizer is going down 14 inches, and that is now replenishing down the bottom, at the bottom where we're hoping to get. So in theory, the potatoes shouldn't go beyond 14 inches in the ground. Their root system shouldn't push beyond that. We're hoping that in total the potatoes probably will go about 10 inches. So we put the fertilizer in. It's going to help the cover crop that goes on. The more we can help that, the greener we can get that, the better it will be for our field. Again, we will then, when we come to get rid of the cover crop, we will either mow it, or we'll again mulch it, and then we'll plough it in. So the options are sort of open to us depending on what the weather's doing. This field will be ploughed. As I said, it will be in and around February when it's ploughed. And then it will be ready that will give us our bed that we'll need for the potatoes to go into. So that will happen. But yeah, as I say, hopefully you've found this informative. Thank you for the comments and the support that you gave me on the first episode. And as I say, next time we'll be in here, we'll be with a drill. We will drill the cover crop in. Obviously we'll roll it, but whether I'm drilling it or whether Kay or someone else is drilling it, I don't know. Depends on what we're doing. Depends on who's where and what's going on. But we will talk more about buckwheat and why the buckwheat is essential for potatoes and establishing a good crop of potatoes. And as I say, as the year progresses, so the end of this year to the early part of next year, because obviously next spring is when we're going to plant these potatoes. As that progresses, we'll show you other preparations that you might not necessarily think of when preparing your farm and your land for potatoes. There's things that you might not necessarily think are important, but and probably 10, 15, 20 years ago they weren't necessarily important, but now they're again an essential part of what we're trying to achieve on the farm, and the sort of product that we're hoping to achieve as well. But anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks ever so much for watching. Hopefully you found it informative, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.